ladies and gentlemen, you welcome to this news hour on Equinoxe Television, live from our headquarters in Cameroon's economic capital, Douala. I am Bable Jonathan. Pan-African is urging African leaders to keep aside egocentric stance and individualism and unite to solve the continent's problems and move the continent to a level where it can compete as a strong power with the other continents of the world. And of course, they are speaking at a time when crises are rocking the African continent. Many African countries hit by socio-political and security tensions and poverty, hardship, and other ills eating up the marrows of the different African countries and making life quite difficult for Africans, many living below the poverty line. And inhabitants of the Coupe-Maninguba division in the southwest region of the Republic of Cameroon, notably taxpayers, are asking for a more stable and good internet connection for them to be able to pay their taxes online and through mobile means and through banks. These are the new lines of tax payment, but they say that this cannot be effective without a good and stable internet connection. Those were our top stories. Some days ago, inhabitants of Kekem in the west regions of the Republic, of Cameroon, took to the streets protesting and blocking circulation on National Road number 5 after a young man fell into the Ngum River as a result of the bad state of the bridge running across that water body, and the lifeless body of the young man who fell in that river has been retrieved after several days of search. And details in this report compiled by Smanjik and Gabriel.
On October 29, 2021, the inhabitants of Kekem paralyzed circulation on the National Road number 5 after a man fell into water due to uncompleted work on a bridge that the government failed to construct since 2018. It took the intervention of the divisional officer before the road was finally opened. Several days gone after that incident, it was this Wednesday that the lifeless body of Chami was discovered in the river by an inhabitant. Immediately we arrived where the son was thrown. I undressed to get into the water, but then I had a malaise, so when I got into the canoe to ease myself, it was then I discovered the body. The discovery of the body brought back the pains the people of Kekem felt on the 29th of October 2021 when Chami fell into the water. With the assistance of security forces at the zone, the body of late Chami that was retrieved from water in an advanced stage of decomposition was taken directly to the family residence where it was buried immediately.
Taxpayers in the Coupe-Maninguba division in the crisis-stricken southwest region of the Republic of Cameroon are demanding for a more stable and good internet connection that will enable them to pay their taxes via mobile telephone operators, banks, and through the online channel. And they are demanding that without this, the new lines of payments of taxes cannot be effective, cannot be possible. And they were speaking during a forum which brought them together for a training on the new lines of payment of taxes. Innocent reports.
A ministerial order of January 1, 2021 requires taxpayers to pay taxes via mobile telephone operators, banks or online. during a training of taxpayers in the Kupe-Maninguba division of the Southwest region to acquaint themselves in this new form of tax payment. Facilitators revealed it saves time and guarantees security of taxpayers in a conflict-hit zone.
It is stress-free. They don't longer come and queue in front of the taxation office because they want to declare and pay their taxes. So it really helps them and also eases our work. So with the e-filing procedure, it really helps them to undertake the obligation without necessarily coming to the centers.
The old system was a bit difficult. Maybe you need to waste time because you always create time to go to the tax department to do all the things, but this one is more easier because you can be doing another work and benefiting from it.
The way it has been structured, you can assess the way your business is moving, if you are progressing, if you are making profits or not.
Though appreciated by the taxpayers, poor internet connection makes the process complex.
The network is not really the best, especially here in Kupe-Maninguba and Bangem, to be precise. Even now, as we are speaking, the network is horrible, not to talk of internet connection. We don't have internet connection. So one has to move from here to a place like Melong just to do the connection.
Taxpayers in the Kupe-Maninguba division plead on authorities to stabilize internet connection in these parts of the Southwest region, which seems to be completely cut off from the rest of the country.
Africanist Professor Mark Akumbo Anthony, founder and chairman of United Africa for Economic Empowerment, is urging the African leaders to keep aside egocentric stance, individualism, in order to unite and solve the problems of Africa, economic, social, and more importantly, security challenges affecting the African continent, and also in view of raising the African continent to a level where it can compete as a strong power with other continents. And of course, he was speaking to the Inside on Equinoxe television and also calling on the population, especially young people, to stop thinking that the best is out there, to stop running out of the continent for greener pastures, but to work and develop the gold, the milk and honey on the African continent. Take a listen to him.
In those days, if our forefathers, our ancestors, actually united and created what we call today the civilization, because civilization was born in Africa, then it means if Africa unites in today's world, there will be no other continent that will be able to stand it. And that is what the Europeans are afraid of. That is what everybody who is struggling to enter into Africa is afraid of. Africa is the Garden of Eden. Africa is a place where everything is. We don't lack anything here in Africa. I have a problem with the fact that young people are dying in deserts. Young people are dying in Mediterranean Sea.
Moving out of the Garden of Eden. And then rushing to
dry land, to deserts. People go die in Kuwait. Some sent us images from Dubai. Dubai was a complete desert that has been transformed by an individual. Why can't African young people start thinking on how to contribute to the progress and development of Africa? Why should we always be thinking of greener pastures when we are walking on greener pastures? Not even realizing. Do we know that Africa remains the highest creditor to the world? I'll tell you why I say Africa remains the highest creditor. And Kwame Nkrumah, Gaddafi knew all these things. Africa, just in relation to illicit financial flow from Africa, just illicit financial flow. Every year in Africa, Africa disburses to the world illicitly over $100 billion US. And in disbursing that, our African youths are suffering. In disbursing that, we are suffering from poverty, unemployment, and many other things. And the Europeans come back every year and they bring $56 billion US and share to you Africans. And you claim that and the claim that they are giving you. So I want to ask a question.
Professor Mark Akumbom Anthony, Pan-Africanist chairman and founder of the United Africa for Economic Empowerment organization, speaking there, and Africans called upon to find solutions to their own problems and stop thinking that people will come from elsewhere to solve their problems. African solutions for African problems. This is what the Pan-Africanists have been preaching for years, and some of the issues concern the security challenges affecting the African continent, and one of the countries suffering from these security challenges is the Republic of Cameroon, with the crisis in the northwest and southwest regions going on now for close to 5 years, and the Boko Haram security situation in the far north region of the country, and these challenges that the Republic of Cameroon has been facing. As far as the northwest and the southwest regions are concerned, the leaders from those two parts of the country were meeting in Toronto recently in Canada, and yesterday the final statement of that meeting, which is geared towards finding a way out of the troubled waters, was made public, indicating that the leaders actually discussed, coming from both sides, discussed all the avenues, discussed all the possible strategies of coming out of that situation, notably through dialogue, through negotiation with the two parties or the two ends, notably those who are fighting to have the cessation, or the independence of former British Southern Cameroon, and of course the government of the Republic on the other side. And on the other side, we also have moderates, we have federalists, we have all of these people who met in Toronto, Canada, to discuss issues concerning the northwest and the southwest regions of the country. We shall talk more about this subsequently. Time for us to wrap up the first part of this newscast on this fascinating story of a set of conjoined Cameroonian babies successfully separated in Turkey.
Elizabeth and Mary were born as conjoined twins in Cameroon. When the babies were 9 months old, they were brought to Turkey by their families for treatment. The twins, who are now 16 months old, are growing healthy thanks to the successful operations by Turkish physicians.
When they were being separated, I saw my two babies. I was very happy. I was very, very happy. For seeing Elizabeth and Mary being separated well, without any complication. So I was very happy.
Many parts of the girl's spine, from urinary tract and the excretory and genital systems to the digestive tract and vascular systems, were conjoined. A very strict diagnosis, operation and treatment process was carried out during the 7-month treatment process. The Siamese twins, whose treatment was completed, were discharged from the hospital on Tuesday.
My wishes for them, because everything has been planned by God. Because man wishes, but God wishes best for us. And my wish for them is to become medical doctors.
And that's it for the first part of this newscast. Talking Point is up next. Barrister Nineba Innocent Akufo, human rights defender and of course attorney and counselor law in New York, is joining us from the United States of America. Barrister, you're welcome.
Thank you so much, Mr. Babila. It always behoves me and gives me a great pleasure appearing on Equinoxe on very salient issues that affect our people. Again, thank you so much.
A specialist in immigration law, and we're going to be discussing some issues concerning some Cameroonians who are in the United States of America, and some U.S. congressmen. U.S. congressmen have written to President Joe Biden saying that they are requesting that President Joe Biden should issue an immediate 18-month designation of either temporary protection status or deferred enforced departure for Cameroon, a humanitarian crisis and civil war characterized by massive internal displacement, war crimes, and a shortage of essentials like water, food, and of course health care and housing make safe a return impossible, and we must act quickly to extend protection against deportation of Cameroonian nationals in the United States of America. This is what the U.S. congressmen have written in the first paragraph of their letter to U.S. President Joe Biden, U.S. specialist in immigration law. Can you explain?
Yeah, again, thank you so much, Mr. Babila, for getting me again on the program and on this great platform. Yes, there is a document circulating out there signed by various congressmen and senators, most notably Chris Van Hollen and Representative Karen Bass. They signed that particular document because if you look at that document, there are actually two different things there. There is a DED, which is Deferred Enforced Departure, and there's a TPS. DED is a presidential order or an executive order that they are requesting, or a presidential memorandum requesting the president to enforce that, to send out that particular order, stopping a deportation of Cameroonians who are legally present in the United States. Then the TPS, it's something that's been done through statute, by the Department of Homeland Security, which is Mr. Mayorkas. So if you look on the right side of that document, it is the Department of Homeland Security. And on the left side, it is for the President of the Republic to sign that document through executive order. So these are two forces coming together because, the United States Constitution gives, Article 1, Section 8, Clause 18, it gives the power to the Congress to work on immigration, and that's exactly what they've done. So designating Cameroon as a TPS beneficiary or a DED beneficiary, I think it's a plus. And credence has to be given to a couple of Cameroonian organizations and individuals resident here in the United States who have worked tirelessly to actually at least to the desk of the President of the United States. So we give them credit for that. And this is the benevolence of the United States we see. This is what I just listened to Professor Akombo talked about, the greener pastures that we have in Africa, Cameroon in particular, but yet our children and, other people, they die in the Mediterranean seeking green pastures in other places, up to a point where they've been paraded here in the United States, as beneficiaries of, to be temporarily protected because they cannot go back where pastures are greener, which is where they come from. Because we are rich, we are endowed with all the natural resources, but because what the professor just said, which is absolutely true, we find these children being paraded, in the doors of Congress seeking TPS and DED. They shouldn't get to that point. And the countries that are absolutely responsible for all these dehumanizing laws in Cameroon, they don't do anything. Because if you look at most of the European countries, which are the benefactors of what's going on in Cameroon and most sub-Saharan countries, they would never offer all this type of assistance that the United States is giving to our children. So kudos to the United States for what they're doing. And I would implore all Cameroonians and Southern Cameroonians living in these states where these congressmen and senators are to support them, to call them at least once every week, send them an email. They are very amenable, telling them that you appreciate what they've done and you really want them to continue with the process of, telling the president that he should sign this particular document because it is just a document. It has not been signed yet. And as I said, Cameroonians have been working tirelessly around the clock to get this document where it is. So again, that's something we're looking forward, and we pray that it works to assuage the sufferings of these children here in the United States.
Congressmen are highlighting a disturbing situation in Cameroon as far as the northwest and the southwest Anglophone crisis is concerned, and indicating that deportation will be a very bad option for the United States as far as those Cameroonians are concerned.
Yes, sir. Yes, Mr. Babila. Yes, deportation will be something that it will be a calamity to send these people back to country where there is a civil war. This is different from when children or people come here to seek asylum. This is totally different. But this is when the government of the United States looks back at these other countries where these people are coming from and realize that there is civil strife, there is civil war, or there is a natural disaster where, you know, these people cannot go back, and they designate these countries to get certain benefits in the United States. One of them, which is you can actually get a work authorization, have a social security, pay your taxes, and you can travel out of the United States, you know, by getting advanced parole. Or, you know, the deferred action that the president can take. That particular order, that presidential memo itself, can actually lead you towards a pathway of citizenship, because there are 3 countries currently under the DED. You have Hong Kong, you have Liberia, and one other country, you know, which is Venezuela. So with Liberia, they made it possible for Liberians under the Defense Act of 2020 by President Trump. They can actually apply for green cards and become permanent residents of the United States. So the DED by itself, it's much more stronger than the TPS. But again, it's a presidential will. If he decides to switch it to something that can give you permanent residence, that will be it. But again, it is on the backdrop of the civil struggle that's going on in the southern Cameroons and the Republic of Cameroon, something that is man-made, something that we shouldn't find ourselves there. And again, as the professor said, we shouldn't let our children be dying in the Mediterranean or crossing the Sahara or going through the Latin American countries and dying in the bushes because they want to seek greener pastures when the pastures are absolutely green where they're coming from. We just have to rid ourselves of primitive attitudes or militarism or, you know, all this sense of egotism, and lend a credence to a much more perfect society which we want to live for our children.
So how urgent, how soon should the United States President Joe Biden and the U.S. State Department act on this letter of the congressman to avoid what you qualified as a catastrophe, that is the deportation of those Cameroonians?
Well, I think as soon as possible. And as I said, you people are only seeing this document out here, but in the background, people have been working. We've been calling these congressmen and senators to let our point be heard. Know that Cameroon is not a place where you should send these children back. They would face untoward hardships, and, you know, some would even go through persecution. So as soon as I said, whichever Cameroonian is listening here in the United States, please call your congressman, the names that are on that particular document, call them. Even if your congressman is not, if his or her name is not on that particular document, still call them. They can call the other congressman or senator and push the idea that the president should sign this decree. If he signs it tomorrow, automatically it becomes law. So how soon, we don't know. But I think that we've made the case, people have made the case, and Cameroon is not a place where you should send people to go back and die. It is not what we wish for, but that's what it is. You have to call it the way you see it. And we have to thank the United States government for their benevolence, for all the things that they've done to the world. When they see where disaster is, they intervene, even if they did not cause it. Because it is the neo-colonial and imperialistic laws that have been crafted, you know, through our domestic legislations that's foiling all these conflicts in sub-Saharan Africa, and especially in the southern Cameroons, where you have your laws crafted by foreign parliaments to be imposed on you, and you just don't know about it.
Pastor Nineba Innocent, Akufo Attorney and Counselor at Law in New York, specialized in immigration law. You are a human rights defender and major proponent of decolonization. Thank you for your time.
Always a pleasure, Mr. Babila.
Ladies and gentlemen, for staying with us. That's it for this edition of the 6 p.m. newscast on Equinoxe Television. Coming up next, live from Cameroon's political capital, La Presse, a dispute. And after that, Sejalo to be yours with Equinoxe. Stay with us.